Okay.
We good? I call this meeting of the Board of County Commissioners for Sweetwater County to order. And we do have a quorum with all of our commissioners present here in chambers this morning. Welcome back after a holiday weekend. Appreciate you being here. If you join me and rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and then pause for a moment after for a moment of silence, please. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Commissioners, we have an agenda. What is your pleasure with that agenda?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I would like to make a motion to amend the agenda to add discussion on grants for the Young at Heart Senior Center.
thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Commissioner, point of order.
Yes.
You should first of all have a motion to approve the agenda and then a motion to amend as part of discussion.
Oh, thank you. We have a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
And any discussion?
Miss Commissioner Shanefield, you're up.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to add discussion on grants for Young at Heart Senior Center.
Thank you. Do we have a second on that amendment?
Yes.
So-
Oh, yes, I can second that.
We're all a little herky jerky this morning, aren't we? So, yes, we have a second, although any discussion on the amendment?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I would amend that amendment by saying have that discussion executive session.
Yes.
Yes.
I'll make that motion to.
Okay, we have a motion to the amendment.
I'll second that motion to the amendment.
Any discussion on that? I have discussion on that. Okay, I'm not sure that needs to be in executive session. And so while we've discussed it, all of the items that are going to be discussed are already public knowledge, the allegations of Young at Heart. The discussion today is really about the grants and the county's possible liability with those. So I felt as though that could be or should be in the public forum and not an executive session, but it is the will of the commission. So any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
could we ask Mr. De Leon what his legal thought process is on that?
Yes, Mr. De Leon.
So again, there is the possibility, as the chairman identified, of doing both. The issue does come down to there is a legal component attached. And as a result of there being a legal component attached, things can lead in that direction, meaning towards legal ramifications. And so, but as chairman identified, a lot of that is already known to the public in terms of what's taking place. So I think it is a discretionary call. That discretionary call does fall on the chairman's for the chairman's decision.
Thank you. The chairman will defer to the commission as a whole. So any further discussion on the amendment to the amendment? All those in favor of the amendment to have the discussion on Young at Heart grants in executive, say aye.
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 All those opposed, say nay. Nay. I got 2-1. Where are we at, Mary Roy?
I said yes.
Okay. Then we will have executive then. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
No, finish the amendment. Thank you.
Don't trick me here, Doc.
No, I had to think for a second. No, we have to finish the amendment.
Mr. Chairman,
Well, I think, did we vote on the original amendment? We just
Add it.
voted on the amendment to add it as executive
Added an
session.
executive,
Now we need to vote on
just adding it at all.
Commissioner Shanefield's adding it, period.
Yes. And we had discussion there. So all those in favor of adding the Young at Heart grants to our agenda, which would be in executive, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like to make another amendment, and hopefully this one won't be as difficult to the agenda. And that would be, we did receive information from our airport director, Devin Brubaker, based upon amending an FFA grant that he has been able to get his hands on that is time sensitive before our next meeting. But that grant, I don't think requires us to provide any money to it, but will help decrease or get rid of the shortfall on their current project. So I'd like to make a motion that we add the Devin Brubaker, the airport's FAA grant to the agenda.
Thank you. We have a motion to add the FAA grant to our agenda. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that will become tab X. And then the grants will be in executive. And then we go back to our original motion of, we have an agenda. Did we get an motion on that? Okay, we did. And a second,
Mhm.
and we had some discussion.
Mhm.
Excellent. Any other further discussion? All those in favor of approving the agenda as amended, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. That was good fun.
And we're done.
Some brain Olympics to start the
A little
morning.
more exciting than usual. We have minutes from our August 16th meeting. What is your pleasure with those, commissioners?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Shanefield.
make a motion to approve the August 16th minutes as presented.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Mr. Chairman, I can second that.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Any discussion regarding the approval of the minutes? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. On to tab B, we have county vouchers and warrants, EALs. We also have monthly reports, bonds, abates, rebates, and hospital maintenance expenditures. Commissioners, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Lloyd,
I would like to make a motion to accept our approval of county vouchers and warrants, approval of monthly reports, approval of the bonds, approval of the abates, rebates, and approval of the hospital maintenance expenditures as presented in the agenda.
thank you, Commissioner Early. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. On to county residents' comments, concerns, and always compliments. If you are here for any of those reasons, feel free to step up to the podium and speak into the microphone after identifying yourself. And we'll also monitor online. See if there's anything sent in. Any comments? Thank you. Then we'll move on to tab C. Motion to approve a catering permit for Man's Face Liquors, and I'll let Miss Lane carry on with the rest. It's kind of long.
Morning.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners. Today I have a motion to approve a catering permit for Man's Face Liquor, doing business as Man's Face Liquors. Subject to obtaining all required municipal approvals. They are on the agenda this evening at the city council meeting. It is for the Sisson Barton wedding at 229 Old Stauffer Road in Green River. They did in their request ask for a transfer of their liquor license. It's not a transfer. They're just asking to do the offsite wedding.
Good. So no problems with that? Like, okay, we don't want them to transfer. It's not
No,
for us.
that'd be a whole
to do
different
that.
process.
Questions for Ms. Lane?
I can't think of a single one.
I didn't bring my stuff, so good thing.
Oh, no, it's your chance.
You missed an opportunity.
There it was. Hey, she's next too, though. So, what's your pleasure, commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to approve the catering permit for Man's Face Liquors for off-site wedding.
Thank you, Commissioner Tillman. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I think
Commissioner Wendling.
that motion should read include pending city council, Green River City Council's approval.
Does the motion say, does the,
Yes,
Obtaining all required municipal approvals.
Thank you.
okay.
I'm fine with that, Doc.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. On to tab D, approval of human service contract.
Okay, I have before you the human service contracts we did receive back. We are still missing one that I will bring forward as soon as it comes in. These are contracts that were approved during the budget cycle. And then we send them out for our outside agencies. So we have the Sweetwater Family Resource Center for 41,150, Golden Hour Senior Citizen Center, 211,800, the YWCA for 238,452, Climb Wyoming for 3,000, the Youth Home Incorporated for 139,203, Young at Heart Senior Citizen Center for 222,000, the Boys and Girls Club of Sweetwater County for 36,000, and the Food Bank of Sweetwater County for 23,340, for a total of $914,945.
Thank you. Questions for Ms. Lane?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Lloyd?
Yeah, I just, a couple of things, and I know we've talked about this in the past, but I think in the advent of the situation that happened with one of our agents that we funded, based upon some of the legal issues that are going on, I hate to see us punish organizations for those situations and especially those population of people, but I think we really should have a discussion, about what that oversight looks like as money's coming in, and also, specific to, I know as we have grants come in, Christina's reviewing vouchers and information like that. Is that something we can eventually put in the process with Bonnie and reviewing vouchers and those things? Because of the nature of what happened is significant. I also think specifically when we look at the situation for Young at Heart Senior Center, do we need to ask them to see what their policies and current policies and procedures are for oversight within financial use, so what I like to call the Enron type rules that are within the organization. And I just think because we are using taxpayer money to fund those, I think we have an obligation to make sure we're doing due diligence to make sure those monies are protected.
Thank you. Was there a question in there for you to answer?
No, I believe that's for your guys' discretion. I just bring the contracts to you once I receive them.
Thank you. Further discussion then what's your pleasure, commissioners?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Shanefield?
I'll make a motion to approve the human services contracts as presented.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Lloyd?
Yeah, a question for Attorney De Leon, and that would it be something we should look at into these contracts in the future, or something we can amend to put some concepts that I was talking about in eventually, because I do believe it was a horrible situation, and I hate the fact that we're discussing it, but it did happen, and we have to be diligent to the fact that that's taxpayer money, and how are we, what oversights do we have? And I know we have boards that provide that oversight, but I personally believe some of that was board lack of oversight. So I believe we need to make sure, is that possible to put something like that in there eventually? And it's something we should work towards, in your opinion?
So this board has already begun that in terms of the contracts.
Right, with some
And
of the
so
contracts, absolutely.
what you've done is you've gone and said, hey, let's take a look at these couple this year. Let's see what improvements we can make on these this year. So you still have the availability of saying, hey, let's take a little bit closer look at the way you've been doing it. So for example, you could say with the one where there were specific issues, you could have me, you could have Christina, you could have us take a look at that if you wanted to, see if there are any additional improvements or nuances that could be improved. So it is as identified, it is in your discretion to say, hey, let's look at the whole lot of them. You could say, hey, let's try to focus on a couple more this year and give direction to staff as to which ones those were. And we'd be glad to take a closer look. As you know, sometimes when we go into them first time, it's a little hard for an entity. Why is this happening? Well, it's been happening and we've done it. And you're actually the second set that's being reviewed. So you can have a third set. You can throw it all on the table as you guys deem best and appropriate.
Mr.
Thank you.
Chairman,
Commissioner Toman.
the contract with all of those agencies require them to keep detailed minutes and to allow the county to examine their financial records at any time and ensure that a certified public accountant will conduct an annual independent financial and compliance audit and provide the county with a copy of the audit. So we just have to make sure we're actually collecting the copy of the audit and that our accountant is reviewing those to see if there's any further. So I think things are in place. We just need to follow through and make sure that we're, if we see any issues, we could follow up and ask for more information. So I think we have everything in place to cover that.
Thank you. Good point. And if we'd like more oversight, then we can do that as well. But starting with
Oh,
enforcement is the right word, but of the contract that we currently have is probably a great place to start.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Wendling.
and also to add on that any one of those contracts, right now, that's kind of a template contract for everybody. We can pull any one of them and rewrite it, so it has a little tighter oversight for different organizations, but going back to the original statement, everybody else has been pretty upboard. It's not the organizations, it's the individuals working within the organizations. It irritates me. We have to write rules for everybody when there's only one bad apple. Not everybody needs to be punished. This seems like that's what we do in government. If somebody screws up, let's write a policy and punish everybody. I like the way our contract is written. I think if there needs to be some change in it, starting January 1, we'll have a majority of board members that can look at that and change that when it comes through for budget next year. But at this point in time, I'm sure the new commissioners coming aboard will have this on their radar, and we'll watch it closely along with our present serving two commissioners working with them. So, Mr. Chairman, I'll call for the question.
Thank you. We have motion and a second to approval of the human service contracts as presented. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. On to tab E. Thank you, Cindy.
Thanks, Cindy.
We have Gateway West segment D. Is it .3? Which is it? .3. Okay. The project status and schedule.
Some hard copies that I'll hand out.
Thank you. And then back to the microphone for speaking and introduce yourself and all of your friends you brought with you. Well, it's good because we wouldn't have many if you hadn't.
So I think this is on. All right, thank you. Commissioner Smith, Chairman Smith, excuse me. Commissioners, thank you for having us here today. We are here to provide an update on the Gateway West Segment 4/D3 project. My name is Alita Brown with Pacificor. I am the pre-construction project manager for the D3 project. Is this up?
Almost there.
Oh, perfect. Oh. It doesn't slide very good. This provides just a brief agenda for our topics of discussion today. First off, I'd like to introduce my project team that I brought here with me today. Here is Sedona Bergman. She is our project coordinator with Pacificor. Behind her is Nancy Smith. She is the Gateway Program Manager with Pacificor. Brian Taylor is also with Pacificor, helps us out on various projects that we have going on. And then Ron Wild is our Pacificor Regional Business Manager.
Thank you all for being here.
Yes, thank you for having us. So this first slide here just provides a brief overview of Pacificor. We have 1.9 million customers serving over 6 states. Here in Wyoming, most of you probably know us best as Rocky Mountain Power. We provide that service to our customers. And as I'm sure many of you know, Pacificor determined that our existing system is at capacity and needs to be upgraded, which is why we're here today. This map right here provides a very, very high level overview of the overall Gateway West project. The Gateway West project was permitted through the National Environmental Policy Act, NEPA, as part of an environmental impact statement from 2007, 2008 to 2013. We received our BLM right-of-way grant in November of 2013 for the project. It is approximately 1,000 miles of primarily 500 kV transmission line. This next slide here. This just provides a breakdown of the various segments. So the segment 1, which we refer to as D1 from the Dave Johnston /Windstar substation to Aeolus, is expected to go into construction in 2022 with an in-service of 24. Segment 2, 3, and 3A, also known as D2 from Aeolus to Jim Bridger, that construction is complete and that is in service. So let me we go to this map right here. That is that segment right there from that Aeolus to that Jim Bridger, that red line right there. So that is the one that is in service today. Segment 4, that's what we're here to talk about today. We at Pacificor refer to it as the D3 project, goes from Anacline to Populous. We are hoping to start construction in 2025 with an in-service of 27. And again, if we look at this map, it's from the existing Anacline substation right here, approximately 200 miles west into Idaho to the existing Populous substation. And I've got a better map that we can look at for that. And then, of course, segments 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, we refer to as segment E, which is the Populous to Hemingway line with an in-service date of 2023. So that just provides a very high level overview of Pacificor's Gateway West project.
I think you meant 2030, not 2023.
Thank you. Good. Little different there. All right. So this next slide here, again, provides a little bit more detail on the segment 4 project. As I mentioned, we did go through a lengthy EIS process. During that process, various alternatives were analyzed. As shown on this map right here, the red line is the line that the BLM issued and gave us our right-of-way grant for. This map here, again, shows our approved BLM right-of-way route from the existing Anacline substation near Point of Rocks, approximately 200 miles west into Idaho at the Populous substation. And then this next map, we like maps. This one provides the details specific to Sweetwater County. The line is solely within the checkerboard. We do cross over the Green River, where we do have some Bureau of Reclamation land. This next slide here just provides a breakdown of the mileage specific to Sweetwater County. There is, so out of the 200 mile project, 71 miles are located in Sweetwater County. Again, that will be a 500 kV single circuit transmission line. 29 of those 71 miles are located on BLM land. 2.8 are on Bureau of Reclamation land. Like I mentioned, we do cross over the Green River there where they have some land. 1.6 miles on state of Wyoming and 37.7 on private land. And because we're within the checkerboard, that's primarily Aggie grazing and Rock Springs grazing. This slide just provides some high-level overview of the project components. Our right-of-way width issued by the BLM is 250 feet wide, so 125 feet on each side of the center line. We will have access routes that will be 14 to 22 feet wide. Those will be both existing and new. This project, we will use the self-supporting tangent steel lattice structures. Again, if you've driven east of Point of Rocks, you may have seen them on I think it's the left side of the highway there. We will have multi-purpose use areas that we will use during construction, such as fly yards, material yards, etc. Those will only be used during construction and will be reclaimed as necessary. And then the existing Populous substation near Downey, Idaho, and the Anticline substation near Point of Rocks will both be upgraded, but those will be within the existing fence line. Whoops. This slide provides just a drawing of what the structures will look like. Again, we have a 250-foot wide right-of-way. The steel lattice structure is the primary structure that will be used. It will be dual galvanized with an average height of 145 to 180 feet tall, with an average span of the 12 to 1300. The alternative design, which was included in our EIS, is also shown. This provides just a high-level overview again of our project schedule and milestones. Our EIS was final in 2013. Sweetwater County was a cooperating agency with that EIS. The BLM and Forest Service, there's some Forest Service that we cross on the project. That record of decision and right-of-way grant were issued in 2013. Currently, we are in the process of receiving the private land right of entry approvals in order for us to do the necessary studies to support our EIS right-of-way grant and ROD. We have reached out to Aggie Grazing and Rock Springs Grazing and are in the process of getting those right of entry approvals. So again, right now we are looking to complete the necessary studies to comply with our ROD and right-of-way grant in order for the BLM to issue our notice to proceed. We're hoping to get that in 2024. Starting next year, we'll start reaching out to the various landowners to start discussing right-of-way acquisitions. And then again, next year, our plan is to start our CPCN process with the PUC, the WISP process with the Industrial Siting Division. We are anticipating for this project that we will have a industrial siting permit. And then also work with the various counties, including yourself, to obtain conditional use permits if necessary, or other permits needed to initiate construction. Our construction start is Q2 of 25 with an in-service of Q4 of 27. This slide just provides a very, very high level overview of some of our next steps. I think I mentioned we've reached out to Aggie Grazing and Rock Springs Grazing to initiate those right of entry requests. We'll contact the county planner to determine any county permitting requirements here in Sweetwater. And then we also plan to contact the Bureau of Reclamation to reintroduce the project to them as well. So those are just some of the things that we have coming up. We're meeting, should have mentioned, we're also meeting with Lincoln County this afternoon, and then we'll meet with the 3 counties in Idaho here in the next week or so as well, just to reintroduce the project to them. So that's all that I had for today. If we have questions, happy to answer those. I did provide on this slide my contact information, Nancy's contact information, and Ron's in the event that, you know, you have further questions and you want to reach out, anything that we can help you with.
Thank you. Questions that we may have for Ms. Brown?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Toman.
Yes, since it's been almost 10 years, do you anticipate any problems with the BLM? I know there've been some rumblings that they're concerned that it's been 10 years since you were issued the right of way.
We have met with both the Kemmer and Rock Springs field office. They have told us that we have a right of way grant and ROD, and they are going to implement it. So at this point, we do not foresee any issues with them.
Thank you. Other questions for Ms. Brown or her entourage? She travels well. Nicely done.
Thank you.
Well, then I'll say I appreciate the much work that's gone into this and working with the county. I've only been here for 3.5 years, but we appreciate all the work that's been done. And Ron usually brings us good news. So I'm anxious to hear what extra good news he has today, but if that's all you have, then that's all you have, and that's okay. All right, we'll go with that then.
Well, great.
We appreciate all of you being here. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm just going to pull this. We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
All right, nothing.
It blew up.
All right. Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
On to tab F, letter of support for the National Telecommunications and Information Administration Middle Mile Grant. Mr. Corolla with us today. Hello.
Chairman Smith, Commissioners, my name is Marty Crollo. I'm with All West Communications. I'm here today. I believe you have the letter we are requesting signature from. This is essentially, we're putting in a grant as part of the NTIA's Middle Mile Grant Project as part of the IIJA. That's the $65 billion projects or $65 billion. It's going towards broadband in the United States, predominantly rural, but also not. Of that, there is $1 billion that is going towards middle mile. Middle mile is considered the areas that are between communities. So Rock Springs to Green River is middle mile. Green River to Granger is middle mile. Granger to Kemmer is middle mile. What we do inside the communities is called last mile. And long haul is the Denver to Cheyenne or Denver to Salt Lake. Those are the long hauls. So we have two projects that All West is putting together as part of this. One is in Sweetwater County, and that's to continue our line from Granger to Green River. If this project this grant is funded, and it's a 30% grant. So they say it's 100% grant, but it's a minimum of a 30% match. If we are able to be successful on this and continue this project, it will finalize our essentially our long haul from Camas, Utah, headquarters of All West, into Rock Springs and Green River. The benefit of this for our communities across Sweetwater County and Uinta and Lincoln is that right now we purchase bandwidth from long haul providers. There's several, including Lumen, and Veo, others, and we purchase bandwidth. And when you buy bandwidth, you purchase it as two line items. One is the actual data connection, and one of them is the transport fees. The transport fees essentially double the cost of bandwidth to communities that are outside of a region because it's all based on mileage. What this will allow us to do is to create our own long haul connection. And the intent of All West right now is, so we buy bandwidth in 10 gig increments. That's just kind of how it's done. And 10 gig seems like a lot, but when you start adding it up, we actually have 4 10 gig connections into Sweetwater County. This particular connection, as we design it out, will be a 300 minimum gig connection from Camas to Rock Springs. So we'll be essentially quadrupling and upwards of 100 gig, or excuse me, of a terabit. It's all based on electronics. Once the fiber's in, then it's just the electronics that are the minimizing factor. But what that effectively does is it gives us the ability to bring huge chunks of bandwidth into Sweetwater County at significantly decreased costs to both our customers and to, well, it's all our customers, including government and to the residential end user. Bandwidth is increasing at exponentially rates as we increase our capacity, and we don't see that slowing down at any time soon. So that is the ask. There's no financial request. There's nothing. It's just an understanding from the commissioners that this is a project that will benefit Sweetwater County, and that you agree that if we are able to do this, you see a value to that to the citizens of Sweetwater County. So that is our current ask, and I will stand for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Corolla. Any questions that you may have? I would only ask, looks to me, I'm not the professional, last sentence of the first paragraph, it just says middle grant, MMG. Is that middle mile grant, or is it just middle grant?
It would be middle mile grant. So yes, MMG, middle mile grant.
Okay, if we could just throw the mile in there, then I think that would be, we'd be good to
Missing.
go.
Miles missing.
The mile is missing, yeah.
How'd we lose a mile?
I've been on that road. I could lose a couple.
Easily. It's called dozing.
Never dozing.
That was good. Any other questions, comments?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Shanefield.
I just want to thank All West for the work that they do in our community. They've been in our community for ever, and they've done great work, have continued to work to connect our rural communities, and keep everybody happy with the growing need for internet and broadband across the state, as well as the growing need with people working remotely, education happening remotely during COVID, all of that. Thank you for the work you do in our community and for your continued efforts to connect those further out communities.
No, I appreciate that. And there is a lot going on in broadband. The other portion of this, and I'm sure you all have heard, is there's going to be approximately $42.5 billion that'll be going into broadband. Wyoming, we don't know the numbers yet. That's part of the due diligence that our state leaders are doing. Lauren is certainly part of those conversations. It does look like there'll be somewhere between $100 and $500 million coming into the state to connect as many residents as possible. We do have a lot. There's a lot at play at this, and you'll be hearing a lot more. I think that providers across the state, and you'll be hearing some information coming out, and I'll take this opportunity to grandstand a little bit about some of what we're doing. But there are going to be these are a lot of dollars. There's no question about it. Some specifics on that is that most of these are being used to upgrade old technology, predominantly the old DSL lines, or what we call copper or twisted pair. Twisted pair has limited capacity, but it's what feeds most of our rural states, our rural communities. And so it just has capacity issues. And fiber is one major component that the providers across the state will be utilizing to get big chunks of bandwidth deeper. How we finalize data to the end user, it will still be up to, it'll be up to projects. I mean, the reality is we will not be able to get fiber to every resident in Wyoming with the dollars that are given. Let's just take a ranch that's 27 miles from town at approximately $18 a foot to put fiber in the ground. You could see that those dollars are not necessarily, that's not a good value to get that end user at approximately $7 million to get them online for a $65 a month connection. But that doesn't mean that we can't use fibers to get connectivity out deeper and farther. And there are a lot of grants that are doing that. There are a lot of competing interests for those dollars, including some of our state entities. So we will be looking to work with our partners at the state to minimize the dollar requirements from the state to maximize what we can do for the end user. Every dollar that we put into, say, the right-of-way, a requirement is $1 less that we can put towards end users. And so that will be part of the conversations that we have. You'll hear me hearing a lot about that. I know Lauren's, again, a part of that. Commissioner Schoenfeld is part of those those discussions. But it is something that we will be having right away with the state of how do we maximize the opportunities we have here, still creating a value in the rights of way, creating a value in our communities to get bandwidth as deep as we can.
It's much needed. So thank you for the work. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And I believe you all know how to get a hold of me if you have any questions.
Certainly do.
And hopefully I'll see you in a couple of weeks, John. Thank you.
For sure.
Commissioners, what's your pleasure with this letter then?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Shanefield.
I'll make a motion that we approve the letter with the addition of mile in there.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you, Marty.
Thanks, Marty.
Go
Appreciate it.
Pokers.
On to tab F. Excuse me, that was tab F. On to tab G. Guardian ad litem contract, Mr. John De Leon.
So this is a biannual agreement with the Guardian Ad Litem program. we'll probably do this in 2 years with the human service agreements. Just to give you a little background, the GAL program started in 2008. Before they had the program, they would have guardian ad litems, attorneys for children, just appointed by Donnelly, the district court, for CHINS cases, child in need of supervision, neglect cases, and delinquent cases. And they decided to make an agency with the state of Wyoming. That agency was originally underneath the public defender's office. In 2012, the legislature authorized that they be their own agency. So they are now, it took them a few years to actually transfer over, but they are now their own agency. Again, they started in 2008. Sweetwater County got on board with this contract in 2013. And essentially what it provides for is the county provides office space for 2 guardian ad litems. They're up on the 3rd floor. And they also provide, the contract says up not less than 25%. But when the numbers are actually the biannual amount that it costs is $521,000, and the county biannually pays $104,000, which is actually a 20%. And when I called them, they said it's every $4 they spend, the county spends $1. And so it ends up being biannually $104,000 that you give to this contract. So that's a pretty good amount for basically handling all juvenile cases from a guardian ad litem perspective for that amount. The other thing that I thought was interesting is that Sweetwater County is 3rd in the state. So Natrona County and Laramie County are higher. Sweetwater County has more cases than Campbell County. So just an interest, and it's actually pretty close. Sweetwater County has 12.41% of the program. Natrona County has 14.8. So they're actually pretty close there. So there's a lot of good work being done there. Danny's already signed this. Mr. Aramostovi's already signed this. And so I would ask for a motion to approve this contract and for the chairman to sign.
Thank you.
Mr.
Questions for Mr. De Leon?
I believe there's a typo under 2, the purpose, it should be termination instead of termination.
It is, and I saw that same
Oh,
thing. So
okay.
Just,
It's just a minor, yeah.
FYI, so this contract is provided by the state, so the Attorney General's office. And so that they are, to me, it's pretty clear what it is. I could certainly have that modified if you wanted. But it does have to go through the state process.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Wendling.
Mr. De Leon, does that change the content of the contract? That change?
I don't think it does, because it's pretty clear to me what the meaning of that sentence is.
Yeah, as I read it, same thing. So thank you.
Thank you. Other questions or comments?
Yes, I do have a question because
Commissioner
the
Kelly.
guardian ad litem, usually the parents have to pay that attorney, but is this the 104,000 that we pay would be for those cases where the parents couldn't pay?
Yeah, so these are, and they can ask the court in terms of their financial circumstances. They can have their own attorney. They can get their own attorney. They can ask the court to have an attorney appointed for them. So the guardian ad litem is the attorney for the children.
Right.
So typically speaking, the parents don't pay those. There are some rare circumstances, but I think it is pretty rare that they actually pay the guardian ad litem fees. Any fees for a guardian ad litem. And so, yeah, this should be covered. And in fact, let me clarify that. These are paid. You're not going to have the parent's attorney paying for a guardian ad litem. Not through this contract. For a private case, yes, you can, but not through this contract.
Thank you. Commissioners, what's your pleasure then regarding the memorandum of understanding between the Wyoming Office of Guardian Ad Litem and Sweetwater County, Wyoming?
Chairman,
Commissioner Wendling.
motion to approve as presented and authorize chairman to sign.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Mr.
Second.
Chairman, I would second that.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thanks, John, and unfortunately needed, but we're grateful we have such a program. So much appreciated. Tab H, we are on to Ms. Marshall with a request approval for the FFY 2023 TANF CPI grant contract and subcontract. Come tell us a story.
Unless you need another cup of coffee, Mr. Chairman,
I'm doing well, thank you.
emailing me at midnight.
Oh, well, it's a.
Among others. Okay, so Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, first of all, I'd like to mention that for this agenda item for the TANF CPI grant, I have Katie Mullen and Brittany Gray here from Climb, Wyoming. So this is my first of two agenda items. Sweetwater County was awarded $50,000 in TANF CPI funding from the Wyoming Department of Family Services. There is no required match, and this funding must be expended by September 30th, 2023. So, as you may recall from the application process, this funding is designed to help needy families with children who are at 185% of the federal poverty level. Projects must address at least one of these four purposes: provide assistance so that children can be cared for in their homes, reduce the dependency of needy parents by promoting job preparation, work, and marriage, prevent and reduce the incidence of out-of-wedlock pregnancies, and encourage the formation and maintenance of two-parent families. So this funding will be passed through to Climb, Wyoming, who is planning to train and place single mothers in careers that successfully support their families and move them towards self-sufficiency. They also provide ongoing case management, and they estimate with this funding to have 50 new recruits, of which 20 enroll in the actual program. They will be monitoring ongoing enrollments and then 35 graduates. So some final notes. Last year, Climb was actually awarded $95,000 through this program through Sweetwater County. I asked the state why the reduction, and actually I just want to be very clear, there's no reflection on Climb itself. They awarded Climb other funding through another pot of funding. So that reduction should not be negatively portrayed. Second, these services must be, or they're limited to Wyoming residents, U.S. citizens, or legal permanent residents, households with at least one dependent child. And as I mentioned, meet federal poverty guidelines of 185%. To put that in perspective, a household of two people would qualify if they made $33,873 or less. So to tell you what kind of populations they're dealing with. And then finally, Mr. Chairman, this requires your favorite color to sign, blue.
Do it.
And I'm available for some questions on the grant, or like I said, the experts are here if you'd like them to say anything.
Thank you. Questions for Ms. Marshall or Ms. Mullen or Ms. Gray?
Mr. Chairman, I would
Commissioner
just commend the program and the administrators, because I know several people who are in the program, and the follow-up and the follow-through is amazing. Thank you.
Very well put.
Can I ask it with the other funding that is coming, will they be made whole this year with the 95,000?
Mr. Chairman, it is my understanding after talking to the Department of Family Services that yes, the specifics I do not know, but I'll defer to our visitors if they know.
Morning, ladies.
Thanks for having us. So we are definitely watching what is happening with our funding right now. We're not worried at being at risk because we have had such great support from yourselves as well as other communities around the state. But we are just watching that, and we will keep communication lines open if we are seeing any changes and whatnot. And this is actually a good segue because, so I'm Brittany Gray. So I've been the program director for roughly 8 years, and Katie is with me today because she is now our new program director. She's been our business liaison for the program for the last 4 years, even placing the moms in jobs through COVID. Lots of those were medical professionals, as most of you know. And we're just really excited about her leadership. And the reason why is our roles changed, and I am now the director of stewardship. So I'm watching this type of funding, getting people connected to the program to help them understand the support and to ensure the sustainability of the program, not just for Sweetwater, but statewide. So Katie, do you want to add anything?
I would just add that we are offering professional office careers training this coming October. We're going to be placing people in jobs toward the end of the year.
Great.
Congratulations. Good
Yeah.
job.
Thank you. Did that answer your question initially?
Yes.
Okay, great.
So is the addition, the office professionals, that in addition to the CNA and the trucking?
Yeah, over the last 2 years, last time we offered professional office careers was about 3.5 years ago. We've offered quite a lot of CNA and CDL over the years because there's been a ton of jobs for those here in this county. But we just saw a need here and decided to offer professional office careers.
Nice.
Wonderful.
And then to also add with the professional office careers, it enables Katie to work with women and different types of employers for more unique job placements. For example, our last office careers we offered, we had 2 women end up Trona Mines, another an insurance company. So it's a little more diverse. So we're able to offer a few more opportunities. So thank you again for the support. We greatly appreciate it, helping our moms reach self-sufficiency. Thank you. Thanks, Christina.
Appreciate it.
Chairman.
Commissioner Wendling.
Yeah, I'd like to thank 2 ladies for their work. Well done, and continue good luck as you move forward and working with the women of our community. Thank you. Good job.
Any further questions or comments? Then what is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Wendling?
I'd like to move to approve and authorize chairman to sign the fiscal year 2023 TANF CPI grant contract and subcontract with Klein, Wyoming.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Thank you. On to tab I. Ms. Marshall.
Okay. This item is an amendment. So Sweetwater County was previously awarded just under $260,000 in federal community services block grant CARES funding. In case you've forgotten, CARES stands for Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security. It seems like a long time ago we were saying that.
The old one, yeah.
Yeah, the original, I guess. So we were awarded supplemental funding from the Wyoming Department of Health for projects that were recommended by the tripartite board. So the purpose of the CSBG CARES Act funding was to enhance the poverty fighting efforts and prepare for and respond to the impacts of the coronavirus disease during the pandemic. So the reason for this amendment 1 is to extend the term of the contract by 1 year until September 30th, 2023 for the YWCA of Sweetwater County, who has not yet expended its entire allocation. So originally, $205,397 went to the Family Resource Center. And then 54,260 went to the YWCA Center for Families and Children. They both address housing needs. As of today, just under or just approximately $249,000 has been spent. And there is $10,522 still available for the YWCA. As you know, we don't like to return our funding. So, and this interestingly, as a final note, is available to people in the 200% federal poverty level. So it means more people can access assistance. And Mr. Chairman, what is the favorite color to sign it? Thank
Blue,
you.
baby.
Okay. And with that, I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. Questions for Ms. Marshall regarding this? I mean, we could talk about anything, but we're talking about this right now. So.
And Mr. Chairman, I'll mention the current commissioner on the tripartite board with voting rights is Commissioner Lloyd, and previously Commissioner Wendling was on it, and both have experienced this funding. So
Excellent. Then what is your pleasure, commissioners?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Shanefield.
I'll make a motion to approve and authorize the chairman to sign Amendment 1 of the CSBG CARES Act grant contract and sub-grantee with the YWCA of Sweetwater County.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Okay.
Well done.
I'll see you later.
Yes, you will.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, we're scheduled for a break now, a little ahead of schedule, but we will come back at 10 minutes until 10, so 9:50, a 14-minute break. Sound good?
Thank you.
We'll stand in recess. I call our Board of County Commissioners meeting back to order. And we are on tab J. Mr. Legursky, I'll let him introduce all of his many. We have a Legursky feast going on here for a bit, so
Just a little bit, sorry.
no, we're happy to have you. Welcome aboard.
Tab J and K, I'll kind of describe both of those because they're the same thing. What this is there was 4 years ago, there was a request by Genesis to put some rumble strips in on County Road 11 where it meets the highway because they had people, it's about 11 miles from the Granger plant in. Not paying attention. We tried flashing lights. We tried various different things. I looked into it personally to be able to do it, to get Acor or somebody down there. And the cost was outrageous for the cost to come down and do one set of rumble strips. So during one of our meetings, I happened to mention to WIDOT, and they said, hey, in a couple of years, we have a statewide rumble strip thing coming up. We can throw this in there. The Board of County Commissioners back in 2019 signed an MOU for that. The cost on the contract, I can't remember, was like $5,500. Well, when it got bid, the cost exceeded the $5,500 by just a little bit, almost double. And what typically happens is on these is once it gets bid, they contact us and say, hey, are you guys okay with this? That was never done. They just dropped the ball. It was done by a resident that's a great guy I've worked with a lot of times out of Torrington. It was just an oversight on their part. So what happened is the project already got done. I actually got the first bill, called down to the state and said, hey, wait a second, the total we owe is way more than the MOU. What's going on? And that kind of started this ball rolling a little bit. So we have an amendment to the MOU and then we have an acceptance of the project being done. We do have money in our fuel tax account to pay for this. I set aside for miscellaneous, just in case projects go over and stuff like that for this. So we do have money, but that kind of covers tabs J and tabs K. If you're wondering why you're accepting an amendment and then saying, hey, it's done, everything looks great. The rumble strips do look good. If you've been down on the Jamestown Highway, they put in rumble strips there and it did various ones all over throughout the county. So
Great,
if
thank
there's
you.
any questions on those two items, that's what happened.
And I'll add that I just in my inbox and my email, I got a please sign this contract or amendment to the contract. That's when I reached out to Gene, was like, I don't remember doing this. They're like, here, just to accept this and send us the money. And I was like, what the? So thanks for clarifying that. And any questions, commissioners?
What happens if we say no? It's already done.
We depend on
Sorry, I
WIDOT.
had to add
We
that.
depend on WIDOT for a lot of other things like giving us road and mill tailings and stuff like that. And I do not want to argue on that point.
Way more than
Great
5,500.
Yes, but it's a fair question. I actually asked the resident engineer that too.
As
and
long as it doesn't come out of the general fund. It's
Yes,
tax
it
dollars.
doesn't.
And we're good.
No, it doesn't. And yeah, I actually asked the resident the resident engineer that had a call and put his hat in his hand and say, hey, we messed up. Here's what we're doing. And I said, what happens if we say no? He just stopped.
Go ahead and try.
Go ahead and
Go
try.
ahead and say.
I don't
no.
think they're gonna go tear up our road,
No,
Take the rumbles.
no, but the future may look bleak.
but future would look really bleak. Yes.
What is your pleasure on tab J then, commissioners?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Wendling.
make a motion to accept the project amendment 1 to the cooperative agreement between WIDOT and Sweetwater County for project ARSCT B 229A01 rumble strips on County Road number 11 TG Soda Ash Road, and allow the chairman to sign the amendment.
That's very catchy. Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And what is your pleasure on tab K, commissioners?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Wendling.
make a motion to accept project ARSCTB 229A01 rumble strips on County Road number 11 TG Soda Ash Road, and allow the commission to sign the accepted certification.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. On to tab L.
What this is the cooperative agreement. If you remember, 4 or 5 months ago, as part of the Build Back Better plan, they WIDOT got a ton of money for bridges. And they selected bridges throughout the counties to off highway what they are is considered off-highway roads, county roads, city roads, other municipalities. They gave us a list of two. One is up on the Big Sandy by county or by Highway 28. The other one is down by Red, on the Clay Basin Road, just past the Simplot pumping station going into Utah right there. So they're both on county roads. This is the first one over the Big Sandy, the cooperative agreement. Under the cooperative agreement, it asks under section 5C if we'll designate a project representative that can act on the county's behalf, not to sign change order or anything, but on a day-to-day, hey, we have this, stuff like that. It'll have to be in letter form, but I figured that if you guys would appoint me, it would make it easier. And then what we can do is I can write the letter and also have the chairman sign that and send it off.
That's a good idea. I like that. Questions from Mr. Legursky? So what would be your title then? Liaison? Or-
No, no. Project representative for this project. only.
Project representative.
Yeah, and it actually says that if you look in the,
Perfect.
and just make sure that the chairman to sign all necessary documents. I forgot to put that up there, sorry.
Thank you. Any other questions? Comments?
I will have some discussion with you later about the heavy use on that bridge in December by the sheet.
That's not a problem. It's still rated correctly. It's just not highway rated. So we actually have a weight limit sign up there. That's not a problem. It's to make sure that the heavy truck traffic and stuff like that. So basically what they're doing is upgrading it to be able to stand interstate traffic.
Nice. Any further questions? Then what is your pleasure here on tab L?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Lloyd?
Yeah, I'd make a motion to approve the cooperative agreement between YDOT and Sweetwater County for federal project H1 BFP CN 04113 bridge over the Big Sandy River, also known as structure number ETE, and also designate Gene Legursky as the project representative for this project as required under 5C of this document,
And allow the chairman to sign.
and allow the chairman to sign.
Thank you. Bridge over the Big Sandy River. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion.
That's the Gaston Bridge, right?
Gadsden Bridge, yes, correctly.
One more name. for it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Thank you. On to tab M, Mr. Legursky.
This is a change order, and if you'll notice, my numbers in system is a lot less complicated than YDOT's. This is a change order number 1 to fiscal year 2021 CMAQ project. What happened, this is not for cost, it's for time only. If you remember, a couple of weeks ago, we were actually getting rain on a pretty regular thing, and it was all sweeping north into Farson, which was nice. We were actually going to mag on a Thursday. There was rain forecast, we punted it off. It actually rained on that Thursday, it rained on Monday, so we didn't mag until Tuesday, so we missed our completion deadline. But like I said, it's no cost. It's just the paperwork to make sure if we get audited by the state or whatever, you guys were aware of that.
Thank you. Questions for Mr. Legursky? Then what is your pleasure with the change order?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Shanefield.
make a motion to accept change order number 1 to the fiscal year 2021 CMAQ project number CM 21304 and authorize the chairman to sign all necessary documentation.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Mr. Chairman, I will second that.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you. On to tab N.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner, what this is we pull water out of the Green and other tributaries of the Green for fire suppression, for road maintenance, for CMAQ projects, for various things that the Road and Bridge does. I don't think that's proper English, that we complete. How about that? And what this is submitting water diversion pits to the state engineer's office. So we are legal to be able to do this on a regular basis. They're for a 2-year term, so they'll have to just be upgraded and upgraded. This also kind of solidifies our right to be able to do that. Not that they would be, because there'll probably be 2023 water right usage. So we'll be so far down the line. If there was ever a call on the river, they just say, stop watering roads. But what this allows us to do is be able to pull water out at very specific points along the river and up by Fontenelle. And we'll either do this through available surface water, or we'll have to purchase water out of the Fontenelle if that ever comes to it.
Questions for Mr. Legursky? What's your pleasure then, commissioners, regarding tab N and our surface water? Am I wrong? Yeah, surface water.
Mr. Chairman,
applications.
I would make the motion to apply for a state engineer's permit to appropriate surface water from the Green River and tributaries.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Further discussion.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, are you guys okay if I sign as the agent for these permits, or would you like to sign them?
Definitely.
Love for you
Amend
to
my
sign.
motion to authorize Jean to sign as agent.
Okay. And we'll amend the second. Okay. Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Tab O.
This is just a discussion and a possible vote on, we have some confusion on the capital committee on exactly how we're doing with the budget and other things like that. And basically what's happening is as projects start coming in and they're right now, we don't have any wood around, but we're coming in under budget on some of these projects. A couple of the other larger projects are in the process of being bid or have been quoted out and they're a little bit over. And in the capital committee, what we're wondering is, can we be able to, long as we don't go over the total dollar amount or add any more projects that you guys approved during your thing, can we move money around between projects? I have one project, well, I'll just give you a good example. We had 15,000 and change for Rob to be able to do some aerial flight photography in outlying areas. The state ended up picking up that money. So we have $15,000. I have a project that has quoted went over $985. I'd like to switch that, pull 15,000 out of that and be able to do that. What I was wondering is if there's two possible options. We could bring those in front of you guys all the time and you could say, yes, go ahead. Or what we could do is send out an email to the capital committee and let them vote on it, see if they would do it or ratify that. And then what we do is all the projects are set up in Munis, like grants. So there is funding for each project and exactly how much you guys approved. And then what we would do is we would just attach that email or whatever to that. And then Christina would go ahead and make that change. You know, it's up to you guys based on transparency, how you want to do that. We don't want to add any more projects to the list. We don't want to add any more dollar. We just want to be able to move that money between those, kind of like we do in operating on our budgets. You know, you guys approve a total operating in each of our budgets, but we have 15 items underneath there. So.
I see it as one, we've approved a dollar amount, we've approved a X number of projects. How the committee handles that, I think, is up to the committee, but other comments, questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Shanefield.
I think that as long as there's no substantial changes to the projects, because transparency wise, I think that would be good to come and approve that if there are. And I also think that at the end of the day, it would be good to have it in a public meeting, you know, at the end of the budget year. This is how it actually unfolded. But I don't think we need to micromanage these projects. You guys have done a great job with this project list and prioritizing, and I don't think we need to micromanage it. So, but I do think at the end of the day, we do need to.
I agree.
In accounting, yes.
Yep.
Yeah, and in accounting, and you guys will be able to see that on a day-to-day when we make that change. If you guys get into Munis, you'll be able to see where those projects are currently standing and all the project stuff anyway.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Lloyd.
Yeah, I would agree. And I would say so because at the end of the day, we've already approved what projects can be done within one budget. And I don't think if there's small adjustments being made within that budget, it's minute to me. I mean, we've already said and I think the understanding with the capital committee is they will come to us with any additional projects. Like if we know we're going to be $30,000 short and they want to bring a new project in, they'll come to us with a new project. Or if there's going to be possible overages that could put us outside of that budget, they're going to let us know. And I think those are the bigger components to worry about, in my opinion.
Further discussion or comments? Good direction then for you, Gene?
I think so.
Okay.
The only question I do have is, Commissioner Lloyd said major changes. Do you want to, we've had arguments on major changes. What is that? As long as we don't overrun the total.
Yeah, as
or
long as we
amount
don't go
or add
over
extra
the total.
projects.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I'm saying, Gene.
But changing 15, 20, or even,
Yeah.
say one was $50,000 and we had the money when one project and it can match the other project, we could do that.
I would agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
The
Now, you
overall.
guys will get, if, say there's a project like a construction project that I do and we are over that, you'll have a change order anyway. If it's over you guys will
Absolutely.
approve the contract anyway. And then if there's a change order, just like you guys did, it was for time
Mhm.
on the CMAC project, you guys will do that anyway.
Very good. Then on to tab P.
We need to, Mr. Chairman, we need to make a motion to accept that letter.
We could, yeah, that would be.
The
fine.
letter with the option, I guess, the option.
I think we should
Up
make a
second option, the
formal,
first.
Mr. Chairman, I would make the motion to accept that letter submitted to us by the Capital Committee.
There's two options on there, so can you specify what I guess just the first option? If you,
Is that the request?
Yes, option one.
Option one, okay.
we have a motion to accept the letter from Mr. Legursky with the first option. We have a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you. Thank you. Are you leaving us, Gene?
I'm sitting down because I'm not the main one.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
on this next issue of replacing vacant positions, it might be good if the department heads and elected did a similar letter. I mean, if it's no difference in pay, if it's a new job or additional pay or something, but maybe they could request that we also not have them come every time we just are replacing a same position.
Wouldn't hurt my feelings. It's always.
Let's,
been one of
Mr.
those-
Chairman,
Yes.
let's go over that at good of the order and have that conversation, because
Thanks.
I think where Commissioner may be leading to is possibly some of these items being a consent agenda.
Very
So
true.
let's talk. Would that be all right, Commissioner Toman?
Yes, because it takes a lot of our electeds' time and effort for our department heads and electeds to come every time there's a simple replacement.
Yeah, but I don't want them to think they aren't welcome.
Always welcome here.
We don't care, right?
I want the sheriff
No,
out there catching crooks.
All right. so
Unfortunately, they're not all on the street.
Mr. McLean, welcome aboard.
Go ahead.
I just can't believe that you got ahead with Gene's list of items, so you must have warned him.
Amazing, but true.
Yeah. Well, miracles never cease. Mr. Chairman, County Commissioners, before you is a request from the Sweetwater County Custodial Department to restaff a vacancy in the custodial division following a resignation. The attached cost summary shows the potential cost implications, again, mostly due to variability with health insurance. I think to remind the board, over the past several years, we've reduced the numbers in the department. And I think that Mr. Legursky will indicate we're kind of at that number where we can take care of things at the level that's expected. It's a little bit challenging when there's long-term absences or prolonged absences. But I think there has been some significant efficiencies achieved. Probably the most challenging thing, as you know, is having the buildings geographically located in such spread out regions throughout the county, present some challenges in terms of providing coverage in those areas and moving people and equipment back and forth between those buildings. But with that said, we'd request to restaff that current vacancy. entertain any questions.
Thank you. Questions for Mr. McLean or Mr. Legursky? Then what is your pleasure, commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to restaff the vacant position, in the custodial department as presented,
Eh,
and authorize chairman to sign.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Yes, I would second that.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you. Thank you, Gene.
Thank
That
you,
was
Gene.
fun.
Have a good day.
On to tab Q. Mr. McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, County Commissioners. Following the same theme, we had a recent resignation in the Patrol Division of the Sweetwater County Sheriff's Department. The sheriff's requesting to restaff that vacancy. Again, the patrol positions have 3 separate levels, from an entry level to advanced to professional patrol level. So we've reflected that at the potential highest level in restaffing, and obviously potential for family health insurance. And again, if there's any questions, we'd be happy to address those. I think we've worked hard with Sheriff Grossnickel over the past several years to arrive at those levels of employees that were absolutely necessary to perform functions safely. And this is retaining that level of employment numbers in the patrol division.
Thank you, Mr. McLean. Questions? Then what's your pleasure, commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to authorize the restaffing of the vacant position in the Patrol Division of the Sheriff's Office
And
and allow or request the chairman to sign.
thank you. I have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? Any questions? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
on the health insurance discussion, do you anticipate that being a little bit earlier? Because I would try to reach out to,
I would, yes.
okay, I'll
be
reach
great.
out to them and see if I can have them.
If it doesn't, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if I may, if it doesn't work out, I know we've got a couple executive session things we could
Okay.
do in between and then come back to them, that type of thing.
Okay, I'll
us
reach,
know.
I'll reach out to them.
Thank you. Thank you. On to tab R.
Morning,
Mr. Zimmerman.
morning, Jim.
Chief.
Good morning.
Zimmerman.
Good
Is it
morning.
Chief or fire warden?
Good morning. Chairman Smith, Commissioners, Jim Zimmerman, Fire Warden / Code Enforcement Specialist. Okay, today what we're doing is we're asking for a transfer of equipment from Sweetwater County Fire to the Sheriff's Department. So what we're doing here is we want to transfer a 2019 Ford F-250 command vehicle with 26,000 miles on it. Quote, TJ's truck, and a 2006 interstate cargo trailer from Sweetwater County Fire to the Sweetwater County Sheriff's Office. What it'll be used for is for the dive team. It'll also be available for search and rescue when that need arises. And it'll also be open for emergency management use. So it'll be used across the whole spectrum. What they'll be replacing is you ready for this? A 1996 Freightliner semi and trailer. So it's something that's very difficult to get to certain places. It's also a maintenance nightmare to be kept up to date and maintained. So the new vehicle for the Sheriff's Department will be stored in the M building. So it'll be stored inside. So that's what I have before you today, Commissioners. I do have Lieutenant Tomich here to ask any questions that you might have.
Thank you. Questions we may have.
Chairman.
Commissioner Wendling.
Yeah, Lieutenant Tomich, please. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Morning. Hey, the and trailer we
Yes.
presently have, will that become surplus?
Yes.
Will be, thank you.
Yes. I was hoping for a harder question.
No,
All right, we'll go with it.
I think everybody's holding their breath. No reason to.
No.
Further questions? Then what is your pleasure, commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, I would make the motion if you're ready
I'm ready.
to do the equipment transfer as discussed from the fire department to the sheriff's department.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Excellent.
Good job.
Transfer away.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Lieutenant.
On to tab S. Marty Dernovich with us. Sure. Okay. Nice one.
Money, Doc.
That won't get you much.
Look at that.
I tried to get, he told me if I could get beer money out of it, go for it. So I was trying.
No go, huh?
We'll go. You guys wouldn't bite.
Nobody would.
Commissioners, what's before you today? As you recall at our last meeting in, well, I guess, yeah, it was your last meeting. The board had directed me or authorized me to rebid the sheriff's vehicles and to award based on the market situation that's going on. So I'm here today. We did do that. There was some savings, so I'm glad we did decide to rebid. So what's before you is bid number 22-03 ARPA rebid. This is for 6 patrol vehicles. The low bid coming in at Fremont Motor of Rock Springs in the amount of $39,343 for a total of $236,058 with a delivery between 20 and 52 weeks. I look for us to see more to the 52 weeks as opposed to the 20.
No rush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to do them all as one?
We can, unless the commission has any questions. I think yes.
Okay. The next bid was 22-04 ARPA rebid. This was for 2 police package. These are for the detectives, so there's a little change in the spec. That also low bid was Fremont Motors of Rock Springs for 2023 Dodge Durangos. The amount of those are $39,909 for a total of $79,818. Again, delivery is 20 to 52 weeks. And the last one was bid, I gave it a whole new bid number based on we'd awarded some of the vehicles in the last bid to, we switched it out and went to the pool vehicles and the smaller SUVs for the assessor and the pool. So this is bid number 22-13 ARPA. This is for the county attorney's office. That bid came in at Fremont Motors of Lander is the low bid. It's for a 2023 Ford Explorer, and that cost is $37,961.88. So those are the 3 bids.
Marty, how did these compare to our initial hopes?
Okay, so on bid 2022-03, that original bid came in at $45,615 each. So it was a savings of $6,272 per vehicle. On bid 22-04, the original bid was $43,815. The rebid came in at $39,909. And on the 22-13, the original bid for that particular vehicle for the attorneys was $57,870. and the rebid yielded a 37,961.88. So the overall savings by rebidding was 65,352.12. So I think that was worth our time to rebid.
Thank you. That was very much worth our time. And thanks for
There's. Mr.
pointing that
Chairman.
out thanks for allowing me to point out your good work since you did not.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Wendling.
there's a way to probably make even greater significant savings, and that is go out for bid for the county attorney a motorized skateboard.
Mhm. I've seen some scooters and stuff.
Do you
Yeah,
agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Thank you.
Look into that. Any other questions? Comments? What is your pleasure then, commissioners? Do we need to list the,
How would you like that motion?
Would you like me to tell you about the shortage on the ARPA funds?
Yes, yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, I should
carry
have
on?
done.
Sorry.
And of course, with the award, with the lowest bid going to Fremont Motor, we are asking that the board increase the funding or authorize Christina to increase for the sheriff's department ARPA funds up to 34,555.27 to cover the shortage on these vehicles. I mean, we saved some, but we underestimated what they would come in at to begin with, so.
Better than 100,000 over, so.
Yes.
Great. Wow. And we should probably list the bids by number as we make the motion. We'd like to do that work.
I can do that, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
I will make a motion that we approve bid 22-03 ARPA rebid for the 6 police utility vehicles. Fremont Motors of Rock Springs. The total cost for that is $236,058. Bid 22-04 ARPA rebid for 2 police package vehicle for admin for the sheriff. Low bid was Fremont Motors of Rock Springs. Total amount was $79,818. Bid 22-13 ARPA 1 full-size utility vehicle for the county attorney's office. Fremont Motors of Lander was the low bid for the total cost of $37,961.88. And authorize the Christina Marshall to increase the allocation from the ARPA funds of $34,555.27 to cover the shortfall.
Ooh, nice.
Authorize the chairman to sign any needed documents. That's all.
In blue ink.
Yeah.
Nice work. That's a great motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
That was easy. Any further discussion?
I'm excited that it was a local bidder in our county because the others were out of county, right? Last time. So congratulations, Fremont Motor.
Appreciate that. Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Lloyd?
want to commend Marty for the work and the recommendation of the rebid saving us over $60,000 and just her diligence in doing that and her communication to us during the process. So thank you, Marty.
And Christina, don't forget Christina.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Thank
And-
you.
Commissioners, while we're on this note, and I believe, Mr. Tomich is still here. The sheriff's department was awarded through impact assistance funds under Gateway South, $140,000, which was to replace 2 police vehicles. We are asking the board permission, because that money's starting to come in now. We have to go to bid for those. They are patrol vehicles. We are asking the board's approval to piggyback off of these current bids and be able to order those vehicles. So hopefully the vehicles will be here before the project is complete.
So just adding on to these, like, okay, we've got this price for this vehicle. We'd like
Correct.
3
And-
instead of 2.
Yes.
Okay.
And if I'm correct, Joe, it would be adding to the bid 22-03 for those 2 vehicles.
questions and discussion there or questions for Marty there?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Wendling?
it's a risk, but I don't know if it's a high risk, but if something were to interrupt that construction project to where they went on delay, those monthly payments or installment payments would be stopped, and therefore the county would be on the hook to pay out of whatever fund the front money for those vehicles, and we wouldn't get the rest of the money for those vehicles until the project started up again and those installments came in. So if that's something we're going to do, I think it's best to prepare ourselves if there were an interruption that we'd be on the hook to pay for those vehicles until those installments come in. So keep that in mind.
Excellent point. There already was delay getting even to this point, so. And then even a little delay in our payments, which was unintentional apparently. So,
Mr. Chairman, we just take it out of the sheriff's budget, right?
yes, he says. Other questions? Okay, are you asking for a formal motion? then
Yes,
to
please.
amend?
Or just to authorize us to piggyback off of those bids.
Okay. Then what's your pleasure, commissioners? I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I would make the motion to allow Marty to add those two vehicles from the impact assistance to our current bid of 2203.
Thank you. I have a motion. Do we have a second? Do we have a second? Do we
I'll
have a-
second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no?
No.
No.
I'll say no as well.
Good enough. Thank you.
Thank you. We are scheduled for a break, so.
Mr. Chairman,
May I ask Mr. McLean where we're at with the presentation?
Commissioners, the request would be to stay close to the original time if we could. They've already committed some time and we're still trying to get a hold of to Robbie Lee for his presentation. So if the board could entertain other business, that probably would work best.
Let's do that then. We will entertain some other business and we will be with them at 11:15.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Wendling.
I would entertain that we move executive session to now
That
for
sounds,
legal, two topics. First of all, Young at Heart, the legal that we talked about.
Mhm.
And then also I'd like to have a conflict of interest discussion,
thank
which
you.
is legal. Thank you.
Is that a motion to go into executive?
Motion to go into executive under legal for those two topics. Thank you.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you.
Okay, let me run to the little boy's room and I'll.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Mr. Chairman, can we still